going crazy. And of course, we're going to break it down with you in this edition of the Wednesday Night Delight is Draped in Gold. How's it going, everybody? My name is Flobo Boyce. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm being joined by the real Jack Farmer. Jack, if you're Canadian, happy Victoria Day, huh?
One of my favorite days of the year, Victoria Day. Something that we celebrated down in what many call Canada's Miami, Tacoma, Washington.
Canada's
And
I love it.
That's it, and it's something that I think is just really special for all Canadians and Western Washingtoners.
You have no idea what they're celebrating on Monday, do you? Neither do I. It's fine.
Not a clue. But Victoria, British Columbia is just
absolutely. Well, it's kind of like
State.
they're like an unofficial like summertime, which is kind of crazy. I learned that this week. The company I work for is also Canadian, so they took the Monday off. I'm like, sick.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I spent many weekends between the years of 18 and 21 traveling to Canada because their drinking age was 18.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I thought you were going to make some kind of euphemism, like, oh, yeah, to experience the museums. But you're like, no, I'm here to get drunk.
There to spend some loonies and toonies getting drunk.
Hey, shout out to Jimmy Corderas. Draped the Goldman, episode 181, your one-stop shop for wrestling content all around the world. Thank you so much for streaming live on YouTube, on Twitch, and Jack Farmer's X account. If you have questions, comments, let us know in the comments below. We'll make sure we have you integrated into the show. And Jack, it's been a long time since I've seen you last. You weren't on last week. We had Cedric Welton step in for you. You're back in the catbird seat, man. What's going on with you?
I believe you're the catbird seat. I am in the bird cat seat. I don't know.
Hey, you are the draw. You bring the fans to the show.
I don't know. I think Cedric's the draw. You guys' ratings were great while I was out of town. I've never felt more worthless than when I was not on. No, I was out celebrating a birthday, not my own, but I went to a fancy restaurant, Flobo. A Michelin star restaurant.
Whoa!
And I don't know if I've ever been to one of those before, but let me tell you, the food pretty good.
I would hope so. Yeah,
pretty good. I felt fancy. I felt like, oh man, I could get used to this. So now, most people, they'll go to Italy and they'll like have Italian food for the rest of their life. I'm like, oh, it's not the same as when you go to Italy, or like they'll go to Thailand and then they'll always want to go to get Thai food. And every time you eat with them, like, oh, this isn't the same as the authentic stuff. Well, now every time I eat anywhere, I'm like, well, this isn't Michelin star.
Do you think international like visitors to the United States have the same thing? Like I've had Applebee's and my life has changed for the better. Is that a thing? I don't know.
This isn't authentic.
This is authentic American.
These are authentic chicken fingers.
Shout out to Canes. Chris Briggs says maybe give a 3-man booth a try. We've done that before in the past, but if you want a special guest to be on the Draped and Gold show, let us know and make sure that's a possibility in the future.
We've been talking, maybe we'll get some wrestlers on to chat, maybe some interviews. We got it, but you guys got to like, comment, share, subscribe, and 5-star review so that we can use that as a selling point for why people should be on there. Do that, and maybe we'll get some. Maybe we'll get wrestlers on here. Maybe we'll get Kenny Omega, who's doing interviews on here. Maybe we'll get Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and everyone else to come on here. All it takes is a couple of like, comment, share, subscribes.
Yeah, absolutely. George Hermosa's hashtag bring back George. What? You can't start a revolution with yourself, George. You always have an open invitation.
George, have some self-respect to start a hashtag that says bring back, like a bring back Jack hashtag. That would never.
Wait a minute. That actually did happen.
I do, but no, bring back George. I like the hashtag. Everyone shout it out there.
Yeah, shout out to Chris Briggs turning the big 4-4 on the 20th of this month. Gents, times fly. Absolutely. I got a birthday coming up. It's also a milestone for me, so I'm also dreading it. Oh, you probably are dreading it, but I am. And Jack, your birthday's later on this summer, but do you already have the plans already situated for that?
Oh, yeah, I've already started the dreading it myself.
Oh, that's not what I meant, but cool,
the cold finger of death slowly caressing my cheek as I get closer to the grave every single year, and this downward spiral we call a mortal coil. But Joe,
do you want a cake or not? I don't know what to take. What the hell, man? Jeez.
Let's fire it up, Flobo.
Ooh, no, man.
Joe C's here. Lurking time. Good to see Joe C. Haven't seen Joe C in a while. Good to see you coming through.
Yeah, definitely. Josie is always there. So, like, again, thank you so much for being part of the Draped and Gold community. We were a Thursday morning show here on the West Coast. It became a Wednesday evening show. Let us know what you think about the program and share the show with some friends. And so, I had to go into today's news when it comes to wrestling. It was kind of a serious moment there as wrestling lost one of the superstars, legends in Sabu. Sabu, dead at the age of 61, sometimes known as a suicidal, homicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac, has wowed audiences in ECW, WWE, and beyond, and it's hard to see him go. Got a little bit of a tribute both on Monday Night Raw and AEW Dynamite this week.
Yeah, the original throw the one up wrestler in pro wrestling. Sabu was someone who I first came across in ECW, and we've talked before about the old days of trading tapes. Yes, we're both old enough to know the pleasures of Suncoast Video and finding wrestling tapes and trading with your friends. And Sabu was one of those guys that you come across ECW and was, to me, such a, Taz talked about aura of Sabu. Absolutely. The aura of this guy and everything that ECW to me kind of represented when I first started being able to watch it. And I was on the West Coast, so we didn't get to see it very easily or very accurately that easily. And so I only got to see random tapes and things. And it just felt like everything he did was big. Everything he did was a match you had to see. And the stuff he did, now we see people do these 450 splashes or Leon Slater doing the dive off the top of Ultimate X and all these things. And so sometimes I think maybe if you went back and watched some of his tapes, you'd say, oh, that's cool, but it's not a 450 off the top of a Ultimate X. But at the time, how innovative it was and how cool it was to put the chair in the ring and step up on it before leaping to the outside was so cool. And I know he was hardcore as well, but there was a lot of people over the years we've seen have been able to do hardcore things, whether it be in the barbed wire death matches, whether it be in the, hitting each other with chairs, whatever. But Sabu was just a character, the way he looked, the way he carried himself, even in those days when he'd come out to the ring chained up with the thing over his mouth. And if you don't know who Sabu is, you haven't had a chance to really see his stuff. I mean, now, again, I don't know where it's listed anymore, if it's on Peacock or whatever, but go find some of his old matches in ECW. Just a treat. And for anyone who got to see him perform at the Collective against Joey Janela in that retirement match, awesome for you to get to see him that one last time and perform. Just another example. If you have the chance to go see someone you love perform, go see him perform. You never know. But very sad, and absolutely, we throw the word pioneer around a lot, but I think that Sabu, for many people, was a true pioneer.
That retirement match was 3 weeks before the time of death. And so, to answer your question, Peacock United States and ECW content is on Netflix internationally. And you're absolutely right. I mean, Sabu, we talk about ECW. Yeah, maybe Rob Van Dam was more prolific as far as top of mind, but you really can't really tell the story of ECW without Sabu. So, definitely a legend when it comes to the wrestling arts and sciences.
Yeah, he was someone who, fun fact about Sabu, I was in school at the time and I had to do, I was in a class, we had to do a show and tell or something. We had to tell a story or something. And we had to bring in a prop to help tell the story. And so I told the story of the rivalry between Sabu and Justin Credible. And my prop was I played the match, and it was like a long match. It was like 25 minutes or something like that. And I knew the teacher was going to cut me off at some point. I was like, how long can I let this thing go? Especially because it got bloody and stuff too.
Did you pass or did you fail? I got left back.
Cut me off. She cut it off. I think I got like 7 minutes in. We're like, okay, we got to turn this off, Jack. We're moving on. But I was like, no, it's almost over. I just kept trying to get it going.
Dude, I commend the as Vince Russo said, the Spaldings of you bring me out of class one day and thinking it would be cool. Like maybe you are the suicidal maniac after all.
You don't become the Tacoma Street champ without having some Spalding, Flobo.
Yeah, absolutely. You got the Spaldings.
Some Wilsons.
Whoa, someone has money. Must be payday over there at Farmer household. The Wilsons. Jeepers.
No, come on. Come on.
Let's talk about this past weekend, man. WWE Backlash came from St. Louis. We were actually talking about this before we went live. The aura around Backlash had a bit of a bump up the last 2 years in Puerto Rico 2 years ago with Bad Bunny, last year in France with the camera bouncing due to the reactions. Overall thoughts about Backlash. It seems to be like the back to its regression of being the post WrestleMania reset PLE / pay-per-view. Did you have any thoughts about the flavor of the show this time around?
Yeah, I think we did get a little spoiled with some of the previous Backlash iterations. They were incredible, and we shouldn't take anything away from them. This one, I think, was a fine show. I thought it did feel it felt filler. It didn't feel, even going into it, like there's a lot of stuff that you had to go out of your way to see, because it didn't feel like there was a lot of stuff that was really in question going into it. And at the end of the day, that's what sells the tickets, I think, is the question, what's going to happen? I got to see what happens. But when you're looking at a match like Gunther versus Pat McAfee, I think Pat McAfee's great. He does a great job. I think that they did a great job with that matchup. I didn't go into it thinking, is Pat McAfee going to win? Like, what's going to happen?
Whoa, that is crap. Because 2 weeks ago you said Pat McAfee is undefeated, has a great record, could totally do it. I'm looking forward to it. Now you're saying I didn't really think he was going to win. Which one is it, Jack?
He was one half of one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time.
Come on.
So, but and there wasn't even really a lot of question story-wise, because sometimes there were matches, especially when you go back to like the Bloodline era, where you didn't think that Roman Reigns was going to lose, but it was like, what's going to happen storyline-wise to make this interesting? It didn't feel like there was a lot of stuff pulling that way. That said, I think that because we live in an era where these are part of your subscription to Peacock, it was kind of a filler show. Didn't feel like it was necessary. You have to go out of your way to watch it. It was free if you have the subscription, so who cares? If this was back in the days of having to pay $50 to see it, I'd probably be a little bit more like, guys, come on, you got to sell this thing.
Here's a question, though. I mean, I'll have to jump in here, but the idea of knowing that this could potentially be the last John Cena Randy Orton match, is that worth $50 or $60 in 2025? Or that wouldn't be enough, you think?
To see it on pay-per-view, to watch it from home, I mean, to buy a ticket to go see it live, yes, I think that's worth a ticket. To see it on pay-per-view, I don't know. Is this early into Cena's title run? I don't know, because I don't think you could have put him against anybody. I don't think anyone expected John Cena to lose here. And so, again, because there's not those stakes aren't really there. It didn't feel like the stakes were there. Now, is it a cool moment? Yes, but I could also watch it later and not feel like I missed a lot. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm with you. I think that at the end of it, like the idea, even though I kind of, not to say grew up because I was already an adult, like kind of lived through the John Cena, Randy Orton era. People tell me his Backlash worth watching. I say, hey, look, you got to watch this Randy Orton match because it could be the last time we see this, because Randy Orton, even though he's been quiet about it, could be on his own retirement tour when it's all said and done. But I do think like the Backlash pay-per-view, again, to your point, we were spoiled. I mean, we were in Puerto Rico 2 years ago, and Bad Bunny, I can't understate this superstar in music wrestling in a match. And last year, even though we kind of wrote off France on paper, brought the crowd, and this one really was going to be a step down, but you really got like the ticket of saying this could be history, if you will.
Right. It is funny. The Bad Bunny entrance is going to be one of those things where once he's further in the rear view and once his music career isn't as big as it is, it's going to be really weird to think like, wait, this guy had one of the best entrances of all time. You know, it'd be like it'd be the equivalent of today of being like, Lil Jon actually had one of the greatest entrances in pro wrestling history. Like, wait, what?
Backlash Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like in 20 years when he's been gone for a while and hasn't done a lot of music since then. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll continue making music, but I just try to think about, imagine all the old musicians that you're kind of like that person. But I guess that's the same way it is with what's her name from like the early WrestleMania days?
Cyndi Lauper?
Cyndi Lauper, that's who it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to say Wendy Rector, but it's like that's not Wendy Rector, that's the wrestler. But yeah, so like, but she I guess still sounds like a star when you talk about it, but it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, George Hermosa says Ice-T had a great entrance at WrestleMania 2000 because pimping ain't easy. I remember that.
Don't we know it?
We, sir, I work in a cubicle. So we're talking about the very nature of wrestling, and I know WWE or WWF at the time has always played around with celebrities. Like the main event of the original WrestleMania involved Mr. T, as for an example. But this week, Kenny Omega had some really sharp words about the very nature of the business when it comes to main events. Maybe not necessarily an attack on WWE, but maybe on how we look at main event talent. He was saying along the lines of, are we going to be seeing a WrestleMania main event in the future where Logan Paul will take on Mr. Beast in a matchup? And maybe a little bit tongue was firmly in cheek, but it does give me a bit of pause, Jack. Look, we love having some celebrities get involved with wrestling, kind of makes it kind of fun, but are we leaning too much into that, you think?
I think it's something that I don't think Mr. Beast is actually going to ever wrestle Logan Paul in the main event of WrestleMania. But it's something that I see on social media all the time, and something I'm always lamenting here on the show is the people who talk about how important the business is and how important it is to get new viewers or not hardcore wrestling fans. And I think that this is exactly what someone like Logan Paul brings, and that's one of the reasons why they bring him in. And you see some of the special guests. They have the Tony Hinchcliffe coming in, and it's a slippery slope. A lot of people may be like, oh, come on, Jack, that's a little crazy. But I look not too far at a place like boxing, and boxing over the past few years, you look at the biggest boxing event of the past year, it was Jake Paul.
Against some loser named Mike Tyson. I'm kidding. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
Yeah, a movie star. No, television movie star. No, but the point is, like, we can say that it's not realistic, that'll never happen, but you do look at boxing, and a lot of the big boxing cards now are influencer boxing. Influencer boxing is becoming its own brand. And that's why, while it's easy for us to be like, oh yeah, that's crazy, Kenny Omega's just saying stuff or whatever the case is, it's not crazy to think that if they could get Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul, that could be one of the biggest draws in WrestleMania. And why not make that something special or something bigger? And I'm not saying that's next year, but it's a slippery slope if you're just trying to get people who are the most famous, as you've seen a lot of other industries slip into that rabbit hole.
I'm with you 100% as far as like the spectacle of it all, right? Wrestling, especially with WWF, has really been like the Frappuccino where it comes to entertainment. It's always been like guys like Stephen Amell from Arrow and Cyndi Lauper, to your credit. It's always been that mix of that. But I can't imagine, even though there is a higher possibility that WWE would do this, of having a match with a celebrity versus a celebrity. I think like that team would break the whole system, right? You want to have a celebrity to legitimize the wrestling, or the wrestling legitimize the celebrity. But I feel like maybe Kenny Omega was kind of joking around when we talked about that. Talked about like having Logan Paul versus Mr. Beast.
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where all the matches are influencers and celebrities. And I don't know if we're going to actually have WrestleMania with two influencers or celebrities as the main event, though. It was actually 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago now, that Bash at the Beach did have two basketball players in the main event. So, and that was one of their biggest shows, I believe, that they had done. So,
was that Karl Malone in his purple leather pants? Is that
Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman.
Lordy.
I always say, if you could go back in time and watch that match and tell yourself the future of the 4 individuals, but try to pick which future belonged to each individual, you would have a very hard time picking who went with what. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
one of these guys is going to become best friends with the leader of North Korea. One of these guys is going to have a yoga business.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You know,
The international diplomat Dennis Rodman.
one of these guys is going to say a bunch of horribly racist things while also being in some pornography. Which one? Like, which one?
Wait, is this Lars Sullivan? Was he in
No,
WCW?
no.
Lordy.
You know what I mean? Like, it's very like when you look around, like, wait, but which one would I say? What future goes to which person? Anyways, all that to say, back on track, Flobo. The I do think that you got to be careful with it. Is all I'm saying. It's like putting ranch on stuff. It's addictive. You can say this person brings in eyeballs, and suddenly you have taken away everything that brought your main audience there just so you can get these eyeballs of people who weren't that interested anyways.
I think we talked about this about ranch before. If it's a dish I order and ranch is there, great. But I always feel weird asking for ranch. Like, I feel like a kid. Can you add some ranch? No. If it comes with it, great, but I'll never add it on to that. I don't know how you feel about it.
It's a bit like saying, like, getting a hot dog. Can I just get ketchup? It feels a little
I
childish.
like ketchup and hot dogs. I'm sorry. I'm tired of being shamed for putting ketchup on a dog. All right, Chicago, you hear me?
I
if you want to.
I love it. I'm just a child when it comes to my food choices. I'll have a peanut butter and jelly and mac and cheese all day.
Heck yeah, tomato soup with the little cheese sandwich. All right, let's go into our crowd here who says, thanks for the comments. George says, shout out to Chaji. Yes, it's true. On this past Friday, Chaji, which is a very famous Chinese tea house, had their American opening, which I was the master of ceremonies on. I've been cropped out with a lot of content, but I'm actually there. So if you have a chance to go to Los Angeles at the Century City Mall, Chaji, the Chinese brand, is opened. Say hello because I got to open that up. And yeah, you know, I'm not trying to get my LoJack Farmer on. Chris Bricks says, off topic, but I was Cena would go back to the basic thugonomics team. I understand that there's bigger WrestleMania moments, but I have a hard line personally between the one night WrestleManias and 2 nights. WrestleMania 35, yes, it's Kofi Mania, but thugonomics, Cena was a highlight, to be honest with you.
Well, I think the exact reason, the fact that you want him to come back to basic thugonomics is why he's not coming back to basic thugonomics.
Well, go on. Explain.
I mean, that's just what he doesn't want to give the fans anything. And all the fans want him to come out to basic thugonomics. So
true.
You don't give the fans anything. Don't give them what they want.
True. And George also says Road Wild had the host of Tonight Show. Jay Leno was definitely a WCW talent.
And the leader of the band, Kevin Eubanks.
Talk about deep cuts, man. I thought he was so cool growing up.
By the way, had some guns at Road Wild, by the way.
Kevin Eubanks, I mean, like, I would say this. I've tried to be a vegan for like 3 days and I gave up. But like Kevin Eubanks was like my inspiration. It's like, if he could be vegan, look like he was like, you know, a 6-pack ab, 2 bicep guy, maybe I could be that way too. Totally fell apart, but I respect that. That's weird. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite this week, man. I know Battleground from NXT is going to be soon, but so is going to be Double or Nothing. So it looks like we're going towards that. But our main event was a bloody affair. Samoa Joe, which I really thought would walk away with the title, fell out a little bit short due to some interference, and you'll probably get into that. Jon Moxley finds a way to escape the challenge inside the cage. He's still the AEW champion. Talk to me about this one. Death Riders Forever?
You actually thought Samoa Joe was going to win the title this close to Double or Nothing and All In and all that good stuff?
Absolutely, because you had Swerve in there. You got Hobbs on the rise. I thought it'd be a chance to really upset the apple cart, but I guess I'm really bad at the whole betting thing. So.
Well, I want to say with this episode, Beach Break, I'm of 2 minds of it. One, I gotta say,
it was Beach Break. I forgot.
I gotta say, I'll start with that then. That's my problem, Flobo. We've said this before. I don't mind having a million themed weekly shows. I think it can be fun, but your show has to look and feel like a different theme. It can't just be a show with beach break written on a graphic that no one
Fair.
there sees. It needs to be in the middle of a pool. It needs to be on a beach. It needs to do something so it feels like this is beach break. And frankly, if you want me to go even further, it's got to be at a beach, like a place with a beach. It's got to be a coastal city. It can't be.
You hate Chicago? They call it the beach, though. They don't
Hey,
say the lake.
You just ranted about ketchup on hot dogs. Don't you turn Chicago against me?
You're right. Screw Chicago. It's a lake.
But it's got to feel like whatever the show is. And this just feels like they threw a graphic up. And other than that, I mean, it is a good card, but other than that, it felt like a dynamite. And so if you're going to do these theme shows, you could have one every week for all I care, but it's got to feel like whatever the theme is. If it's winter's coming, it better feel like you're in the dead of winter. If it's beach break, it better feel like we're at a beach. If it's Grand Slam, I want to feel like I'm in a baseball stadium. You know, I want these things to fit so it feels like the whole show is built around that.
Let me jump in real quick there, because I know when NXT had their spring break in last year and like the last week of April, I was like, come on, guys, we have spring break in March. What are we doing? But
right. Well, I'll give them a little bit of leeway on that kind of stuff, because sometimes just timing can get a little tricky for whatever reason. But if they're off a week or two, I'll give it to them. But you're right. You're right. But the point is, and like when I say like Grand Slam, I want to look at baseball. I don't mean just one match with a baseball themed element, like a baseball bat on a pole match. I mean, the whole show should feel baseball. So that's my rant about that. That said, that rant aside, AEW, I think, does summer wrestling better than anybody. And the summer wrestling being, I know we all like our long-term stories. I know we all like our big built-up moments. Summertime is supposed to be just the craziness of pro wrestling, the randomness, the stuff, anything could happen, the anarchy side of pro wrestling leading into anarchy in the arena. I think that this main event felt like, this whole show felt like it, but this main event felt like those random summer wrestling moments where they have some crazy big main event happening for some reason, where a bunch of people get involved. It's totally nuts. Does it make a lot of sense sometimes? Maybe it doesn't, but it's super fun to watch. And I really enjoy this. I think AEW, you know, maybe during WrestleMania season, WWE is the place to be. I feel like during the summer, AEW can be a very fun wrestling show.
I'm with you. I mean, all it is kind of like summer territory. The fall tends to be against all odds for TNA. But last week, we had a new theme with AEW. We saw it here, too. It looks like they're trying to build themselves up to consider this their high season. Or am I just projecting about AEW having a high season post-WrestleMania in the summer? What do you think?
I don't know if they plan for it to be a high season. It does feel like this year they're getting there a little bit. It feels like every year they incrementally get just a little bit closer to that vibe. This does feel like they are doing that with the Owen, which is why I didn't really believe in Samoa Joe's, because you're building this number one contender, which is going to be either Hangman or Will Ospreay. I can't imagine that the champion changes hands just before we get the new big number one contender. So whoever wins, I think
Vince Russo will pull the trigger. I'm just kidding.
Well, he probably would. I mean, if you look at WCW 2000, who wouldn't be the champion by the time it's over?
Fair enough.
But everyone would be over, pal. I mean, bro. Pal is my word. Bro is his word.
Remember we had a coffee deal at Broster's? I mean, the Vince Russo blend.
I still have the shirt.
Oh, wow. That's for long-term fans of Draped and Gold. Jack was a pitchman for the same coffee roasters that had a Vince Russo blend, if you can imagine that.
Yeah, you know, they were actually really good to me. I'm a big fan of Roasters. I don't think they're in business anymore, but if they are, go check them out and buy their coffee. So that's
Whoops.
it. Pivot transition. But look, Gabe Kidd showing up. I think Gabe Kidd is cool. I'm very excited about what he's going to bring to AEW. I think he is the kind of personality that can really help in AEW. Someone who can just be great on the microphone, can say a bunch of buzzworthy things. Someone that you don't necessarily tell him what to say on the microphone. He just goes out there and lets it rip. And people will clip things, and he's great in the ring. I don't know if he's signed with AEW, but this feels like he might be on his way over there.
Hey man, I'll be honest with you. Gabe Kidd being there was interesting, but I'm not sure if it was a commentary thing or just like the crowd was a bit confused. But it didn't seem like he got like the hero's welcome you would have thought, or at least kind of like the "oh my gosh, he's here" reaction when he got involved in the main event.
Yeah, I think that was, and this is very easy to say in hindsight, but I think that was the execution of the whole thing. I mean, when you have an individual who is wearing a hood and just a black a black sweatshirt, comes out and gets involved, you don't know who he is, and you're not supposed to know who he is. When he takes off the hood and he's another bald guy with a beard, from a distance, if you're in the crowd, you don't necessarily know who that is. And so I don't
Hey,
a whole lot of
I'm just another bald guy with a beard. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, yes, it's true.
You're all the same.
We're all the same. But I mean, when you've got Moxley and Claudio out there already, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, here we go. He did blend in that regard. I think if he was maybe wearing something that made him stand out more as who he was supposed to be instead of just the sweatshirt. And again, I get, this is hindsight. I very much understand when you're in the, booking it all and putting it together going, we want it to be a surprise. We want people to ask, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? I also think that the timing was weird because commentary didn't really have a chance to put over, hey, who is this? What is this person doing out there? Because by the time they did it, they were announcing the winner, and then commentary had to like lay out and then come back in. It just felt like the timing was a little weird, but I don't know if that's something you could have fixed earlier. But you're right. We'll have to see what happens. He didn't get the big response from the crowd, but I also think that was kind of an execution situation.
Let me ask you a question as far as surprises in AEW right now. Which was more shocking over the past 7 days, even though this is not necessarily an AEW thing? Azumi winning at New Japan and becoming the New Japan Strong Champion, beating, quote unquote, Mercedes Moné in the triple threat, or the reemergence of Zach Gowen, which is someone that kind of like forgot about over the past decade and a half. I think both of them were kind of like, okay, AEW, I think something's cooking here in creative.
Yeah, Azumi was cool to see. Azumi with the win over Mercedes, winning the championship, I should say, from Mercedes. That's a great thing to have happen. I thought she did great today as well. Zach Gowen, though, he stole my heart tonight. I was watching this matchup, and I talked about Samoa Joe earlier, but man, he had me. I was pulling for him. I was like, he got his hooks in me, Flobo. And I was like, and I'm a Ricochet fan, but I was like, come on, Zach, you got this. Let's go. I was pumped for this guy. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know what his plan is. I don't know what AEW plan to do with him. I don't know how long I'll be on the Zach Gowen train, but man, I was pumped to see him. I thought he did great. And I think that Ricochet did very well with that whole situation, did very well. I think he knew the crowd was behind him, and he worked that very well to make himself even more of a hateable person. I think both guys did great. I thought that was great. Speaking of guys with a beard and a bald head, Flobo, I mean, again,
we need more of those for sure. Yeah, we love guys with bald heads. No, I thought it was kind of interesting. I didn't think that Mercedes Moné would have lost one of our championships, but triple threat matches are out of their hands. Sometimes people are just incompetent around you. What do you want to do? And Zach Gowen throws me back to my teenage years, seeing him on SmackDown on SmackDown a couple of years ago. But it's kind of cool he's back and he's able to contribute, so it's always good. Before we move out of the AEW universe, real quick. So last week, Bobby Lashley had to give MJF the thumbs down and didn't really want MJF to be in the Hurt Syndicate. But this week, the thumbs are up and MJF is in as long as the lawyers go through the contracts. What's going on with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, you think?
There's one thing wrestling fans love more than anything else, Flobo, and that is lawyers. So I'm glad that we're bringing this to...
No, we hate those.
No, but I'm curious how you feel. Your favorite AEW group, the Hurt Syndicate, now has MJF joining them. I think you need to speak about this one, Flobo. What are your thoughts?
I hate it. I don't think anyone was like, man, I wish the Hurt Syndicate had a guy that was who aligns himself with the groups and turns on them all the time. The Hurt Syndicate was working. The Hurt Syndicate was a 9 p.m. appointment viewing because they hurt people live Wednesday and potentially Saturdays every week in AEW. MJF is not necessarily a huge star, but he's a star on his own. I'm a hater. I get it. I don't understand the merger. I don't understand the agreement. I don't understand MJF's courtship. I don't understand MVP saying you're now in the group. But maybe this is it. The story isn't for me.
Oh, I see. So I can't say things about the hair challenged with beards, but here you are talking about people like me, people who stab their friends in the back, like we're all just one and the same.
Yes, you guys are all scumbags.
I love this. I think this is fantastic because I think that I was looking at this and I was like, okay, well, clearly this isn't going to work out. And I think that the old AEW would have said, Lashley gives a thumbs down, then we get MJF versus the Hurt Syndicate for 3 weeks, and then they deal with it at whatever.
Lashley thumbs down last week. That didn't happen though. We got a run back, and he said, "I'm just kidding." Thumbs up.
Right. I think that they've learned that there's more interest in watching this team have issues, watching someone on the inside be a little cancer. He's the worm in the apple, Flobo. And that's what is interesting to watch, is to watch this little worm in the apple chew around until the core is rotten. That's what we want to see, Flobo. Keep it going. But I don't want you to worry too much. Don't worry. Don't worry. I know that you've been stressing out about this whole situation.
Totally.
Listen. They haven't signed the contracts yet, Flobo. And if I was a guessing man, I don't fantasy book, but if I was a fantasy booker right now, if I was a fantasy Russo, then what I would say, I think when they go to sign the contract, the name on the contract isn't MJF. The name on the contract is Cedric Alexander, and the Hurt business is truly at full power, and they lay the Hurt in on MJF before he joins the group, because I believe Cedric Alexander now free to sign wherever he wants.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander is now a free agent. Last time we saw him, we was on NXT, and we got to talk about NXT this week because as we get closer to Double or Nothing, it's the same day as NXT Battleground. The NXT Battleground has 4 matches already prescribed there, but the big one is a signing. Trick Williams and Joe Hendry had a little bit of a stare down situation this week. Joe Hendry, one of the greatest TNA champions, by my estimation, based on how many miles have been logged. Trick Williams, one of the greatest NXT talents, especially in the 2.0 era. What say you about Battleground? What say you about the state of the TNA Championship? What say you about this conflict?
I'm torn on it. I'm torn because I think that Joe Hendry has been given many tests and has passed every one of them with flying colors. A lot of people are saying, can he be recognized by the bigger wrestling community? He comes out of WrestleMania, everybody's singing the song. Clearly, he's recognized. Clearly, he's as big of a star as we all think he is. Trick Williams is an NXT guy. Trick Williams is black and gold, or rainbow and gold, or whatever the colors may be these days. He's an NXT guy. NXT 2.0, NXT 2.5, NXT 3, whatever we're on right now.
By the way, 2.0, the worst name for a promotion, but as you were.
Yes, but it might be fun to go back and watch some of that. Very interesting.
No, I'm good. I'll watch back COVID stuff. 2.0 was just like a bad idea.
It worked out for a lot of folks, though. So, but that said, I don't want Trick Williams to be the TNA champion, Flobo. I don't want Trick Williams to be the TNA champion. I want Trick Williams to be the NXT champion. I want Trick Williams to be the US champion, the Intercontinental champion, the World champion, the WWE champion.
Whoa.
Maybe the Evolve champion. Why not there? The TNA champion.
First of all, by the way, someone stop you here. Shout out to the Prime Minister of Evolve, CB Turner, for both unveiling the Women's Evolve and Men's Evolve championships. But Jack, I gotta be honest with you. You said on this very show that Obafemi is the NXT champion for life, forever. And now you want Trick Williams to be the NXT champion? Explain yourself.
Well, that's why I gave other options, Flobo. I mean,
Just cop it out. That's what
if he look, if he can do it, good for him. But I think maybe he should focus on the other championships as long as Obafemi has the NXT title. I'm just saying, I think Joe Hendry is a great TNA champion. I think he's done great things for them. And there's a lot of great wrestlers in TNA. There's a lot of great people who could be TNA champion. But I like to keep my NXT stars in NXT, my TNA stars in TNA. And I think that Trick Williams winning that championship, which, come on, it's Trick Williams. Of course he's going to win the match.
What? Really?
Of course.
We're not even doing predictions yet. We're like a week out. And you're already saying Trick Williams is winning the TNA championship.
It's Trick Willie. Come on. I mean,
he's not a TNA superstar.
He doesn't need to be. He's Hollywood. He's bigger than all of that. And the thing that he's always been missing, Flobo, is this the belief that he's bigger than what he was, and now he gets it. Now he's a movie star. You can see him on the big screen. You can see him on the little screen. You can see him on your second screen. He's Trick Williams. And I think that is the mentality he's been missing. Now that he has it, he's not going to lose a match to some viral sensation.
Wait. Joe Hendry, yes, he is viral. I'm not like taking that away from him because it's really hard to be viral. I have never been viral my entire life. I've tried many times, but he's actually a capable wrestler. He's actually put TNA on his back. They say he's a viral sensation, discounting what Joe Hendry can do. Am I not?
Joe Hendry's incredible. Look, Joe Hendry did great at WrestleMania. Joe Hendry is I agree with you. He's one of the best TNA champions you could ever have. He's just not Trick Williams. So
let me ask you this.
Okay.
On May 25th, it's a Sunday, NXT Battleground and AEW's Double or Nothing is going to be the same time at the same moment. Mm-hmm. Will you be having two screens up? Will you be watching Trick Williams versus Joe Hendry, or will you be watching AEW? Because to your point, it's on the come up.
Yeah, I think both these shows are gonna be great. I'm probably have both screens open. I'm probably gonna be double screening it.
Take a look at the main events here. So you got the Hurt Syndicate against the Sons of Texas for the tag team for the AEW World Championships, and also Anarchy in the Arena looks like it's going to happen further down the line. But also the Owen Hart finals are going to be part of that matchup. But compared to NXT Battleground on the same day, you have Obafemi against Miles Bourne, which we'll get to in a second, and Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams. I do think most wrestling people are going to watch one live and get back to the other one time shifted. No?
Well, I'm sure that's what a lot of people are going to do, but I'm probably going to have both. I'm going to probably have both open.
Yeah. Let's talk about Miles Bourne for a second, because I know last week he won the number one contenders battle royal. Cedric was all about that. There has been talk about how he looks like Randy Orton, and also the talk about making new stars. I didn't see it coming. I'll be the first one to admit this, but maybe I'm just slow on the take. Miles Bourne is now your new number one contender. Obafemi gave him the tip of the cap because he is going to be the next challenger for the NXT Championship. But as they say in pro wrestling, did Miles Bourne bite off more than he can chew? Not against Obafemi alone, but rather saying, Charlie Dempsey, no thanks. I got this. I'm going to challenge for the title.
Miles Bourne, I'm with you. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see just how big of a star he could be. And so I'm not going to act like I saw this coming. But being given this opportunity, being given this platform, Miles Bourne has blown me away with the way he has capitalized on this and has been able to grab a hold of this lightning in a bottle. That promo he cut, I thought was incredible, top to bottom. The way he talked about all the things he's overcome, the way he's talked about how he wants to be known for his abilities. I think the way he's wrestled, the way he's handled himself. Miles Bourne is skyrocketing. Miles Bourne might be onto something big. And look, the he can't hear you chants is something that
it's kind of
is
messed up, though. I can be honest with you.
it's fun, but you know what? It's fun, and that's something that could be a big thing for the rest of his career as a positive. It could take this thing and it could take this thing that's been looked at as a disability and become a huge positive for him going forward.
I got a question about Miles because like they didn't have the promo code, the promo thing where being like, oh man, I can't hear, but I'm a wrestler. They didn't do all that. It's kind of like a thing that's we all know. They didn't really emphasize that. The crowd is behind it. This could be kind of fun, but at the same time, is that something that you see in the mid card? Do you see him as NXT champion? That's not going to win at Battleground, but do you see Miles Bourne as the top of the card talent, especially as right now in 2025?
So far, it's a very small body of work we're looking at. He's been wrestling for a while, but we're talking about like NXT championship level. Really, we're looking at like 2 weeks. So it's hard to say yes or no to that because did he have a great, I think based purely on the promo we saw and based purely on his match with Ethan Page, yes, I think he displayed everything you're looking for to be an NXT champion or more. That said, it's a week. I got to see him do it again. You know what I mean? I got to see him do it again. I got to see him do it again and again and again and again. And that's where you look at someone like an Obafemi. You look at someone like a Trick Williams. Those are people who've been able to prove that they can do those kinds of promos, have those kinds of matches again and again and again and again and again. If he's able to just continue with what he's done, then yes, I think he has a very, very, very high ceiling. If this was his peak, he might fall back down to earth a little bit, but he really does have an opportunity. Miles Bourne, I'm very high on Miles Bourne right now. He has the opportunity to be very special.
This is kind of off of our rundown here, but if you were a stock broker, I guess, Ethan Page, you hold, you sell, do you buy more this time? Do you buy the dip? Like, what would you do with Ethan Page right now in NXT?
I am buying stock in Ethan Page. Well, I guess in NXT
right now, after Tuesday.
If we're only talking about his stock for his time in NXT, I might hold.
Okay, you're holding.
But what I mean is, I have a feeling his stock will really see value when he's on the main roster. I got a feeling he's got a call up coming. And so do I see his stock going up soon on NXT? No. Do I see his stock going up on SmackDown or Raw? Yes. So if my stock carries over after he drafts, yes. If I have to cash out once he leaves NXT, no.
There's been rumors, and I can't really confirm them because it kind of seems to be very preliminary, about a draft happening this May, the end of this month, for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, which is interesting because this is the first year we had the transfer portal in January. Now, I know you're a big draft guy, despite Humberto Carrillo or give or take.
Let me find my pen.
See, that's a deep cut no one will understand. But no. I love it. But the idea is, would you still like a draft though between two brands? Would you like an NXT draft, or is it kind of like, hey, look, the transfer portal worked. You got new, fresh rosters. Let's keep going with that more subdued approach.
What I would like to see if we're going to do a draft is it's Raw and SmackDown drafting, but they're only drafting from NXT, and they each get 3 picks. And it's very simple. It's very small, and it's 3 picks, and each of the 3 are given a huge ovation, big surprise. Oh, my goodness, this person got drafted.
One night or 2?
Just one night. We don't need to draft.
On Raw and SmackDown, I got to ask.
Oh, that's a good question. On NXT.
So NXT on CW has the draft.
Yes.
And they're going to go to very LFG. They're going to Raw or SmackDown for their promotion.
Yeah. I think that it should happen on NXT. That's where I guess it's hard to really make it feel like a big deal when they go to SmackDown if you don't see them on SmackDown, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess if you're doing 3, maybe you just do 2 and you do 2 on Raw, 2 on SmackDown. But I don't want to drain the entire NXT roster in one draft. So I don't want it to be like 7 a piece, right?
Right.
And I also don't want to put them in a situation where they draft so many people, none of them get used or something like that.
But
So I
there's
would,
some guys that are kind of like hanging out there. Sean Spears, Ethan Page, Chick Williams, like they've done this stuff. They've graduated. How about we move these guys? No?
I mean, you could do. I mean, yeah, but if you're just going to move them so they could sit in catering, then what's the point? I'd rather Sean Spears stay in NXT than get called up just because you got to fill a spot on a 6-person draft card. You know what I mean?
True. But also, then again, this week on Evolve or last week on Evolve, we had Nikita Lyons in a match. That was kind of interesting, having someone being moved around. And it's like, well, he's on Evolve. Is that a downgrade? But at the same time, you're having a match as opposed to not being on TV. Like, which one's more valuable? You know?
I think it's fine if they keep it the way they're doing it now. I don't think they need a draft. But I do think that when someone moves, it should be made a bigger deal. You know, like when Roxanne and Julia get moved to Raw, for instance, we need to have Adam Pearce, backstage excited, like, hey, I just inked a really big contract. I think this is gonna be a big deal. I think someone just shows up and we, the fans, kind of have to figure out whether or not they've been pulled up. That's never a good sign. It should never feel like, wait, so are they on this brand now, or what's that deal? That's always to me a bad move. But if you had Nick Aldis, saying later tonight, I'm going to announce the new acquisition from NXT at 9:00 tonight or whatever. We just signed the contract. They'll be making their way out, see it later or whatever the case is.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of hate the idea of this person's good, call them up. Like, if NXT is supposed to be a viable brand, then it should be someone like, I want to see this person with a title or have a story with them. And if they get moved, cool. Because to your point, there have been people that have been brought up. If you think about last year's draft, the last time we had a formal draft episode of Raw, I mean, Kiana James is injured. Dijak was released. Like, it really didn't pay off the way we wanted to. But I didn't really want a situation like having Julia on Raw where she shows up and we go, is she on Raw? Is she on NXT? What the gives, man?
Yeah, that to me is the worst thing. And so again, whether it's a call up, yeah. And you're right. That's kind of the problem, is if you make it feel like if I'm Nick Aldis and I can sign someone from any NXT roster at any time I want, then it also feels like, well, why aren't you signing these great stars? And so that if you can call them up at any time, then yeah, that becomes an issue. I mean, maybe the transfer portal or whatever, but that was kind of vague too. Yeah, I think if you're going to do it, if you're going to do a draft, I think you just make it small, just from NXT, and you just make it like maybe 2 people on Raw, two people each on Raw, 2 people each on SmackDown.
Let's play a game there, Jack Farmer. We're talking about Raw and SmackDown, the major brands. Becky Lynch, it seems to be a whole new version of Becky we haven't seen before, or a retread of a Becky we've seen before, if you believe she's Big Time 2.0. She says the fans turned on her, and she's been holding everyone down, kind of leaning into what they were saying on the IWC as Becky Hogan. So let me ask you this. Vegas odds, over, under, Becky Lynch, 0.5 Intercontinental Championships by the end of 2025. Would you take the over or the under?
Take the over.
You think that Becky will be IC champ?
Yep,
Tell me why.
Because I think she's going to beat Lyra Valkyria.
What?
I think that's. I don't think this is done. I don't think this is done. I will say that with the whole thing with Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch, I love that Lyra Valkyria got such a big win. I hate that it was so overshadowed by post-match attack, and then I hate Lyra Valkyria was not on Raw this week to follow it up.
Yeah.
She should have been on Raw to follow it up. She should have said this was the biggest win of her career.
She was hurting,
on a huge
man.
Stage, and
she
we
was selling.
don't see her.
She was selling.
To me, it sucks. I feel bad for Lyra Valkyria. She really should have been there. That said, I think that Becky's promo was great. I think she did a good job on this. And I'm technically pretty pretty. I grade Becky harsh.
You're a hater. You're a
pretty
hater.
hard grade, but I thought this was a really
Huge
good.
Hater.
I really thought this was a good promo.
No. Acknowledge you're a hater first.
Oh, I'm a hater. Yeah, I'm a hater. But I thought this was a good promo from her. The thing that drives me nuts, and one of the reasons I'm a hater, is it feels like she always wants to be on this side of the tracks, right? She always wants to be the antagonist. But people love her, love you, Bex. They love Becky Lynch. So like every time she's doing this, it feels like, if anything, it's kind of tongue in cheek, kind of like, I'm the bad guy now. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, like I did that backward. I said, wink,
wink,
you
nudge when you winked and wink when you nudged. For those of you watching this, it's kind of us backwards.
You know, I feel like even as I'm looking at the reactions to it on Twitter, all I'm seeing is people saying she is so good. And I love it when she does, you know, and it's all very positive to what she's doing. And I'm just thinking, everyone loves you. Just be the character we love. Why are you fighting? Why are you fighting this so hard? It feels like there's always these like iterations where she comes back, she's going to be the bad guy. But we're like, no, we love you. We love you, whatever. And then she like reluctantly becomes the hero again until she takes time off and then becomes the bad guy again. Like, okay.
I'm glad you mentioned this because people are just hating the New Day, even though they're right. Talking about people being loving and hating. I mean, maybe these guys are really good at being hated for just being themselves and being correct about life.
I am the prisoner of the moment many times, Flobo. It is a strength of mine.
Or weakness.
I don't have a weakness. I just have greater strengths. But the New Day have had a very long career. And while I'm not a hater of the New Day by any stretch, you know, I like to judge them pretty harsh as well. I'm pretty like, it takes a lot for them to make me go, okay, this is good. I think the New Day over the past few months has been the very best the New Day has ever been as a tag team. So
without the Bootios?
I think this is the best they've ever been. I mean, look, I'm not saying Kofi Mania, that's singles. You know, Big E winning the title, that's singles. I'm talking about
Pancakes, though.
As a tag team. I think this is the best they've ever done. They are so good at what they are doing right now. And it's crazy to me that a tag team that is now entering its 76th year as a tag team is now finding its groove. Not finding its groove. That's not what I'm trying to say, but is finding a way to do the best stuff they have ever done. And I've seen some. I called the Rock and Roll Express match just a few weeks ago. So I've seen some teams who've been around for a while.
Not to brag, of course.
I mean, they haven't been around as long as the New Day, but
stop.
But this is the best the New Day has ever been. I think this is the best. I feel confident saying that this is I think I enjoy watching them now more than I've ever enjoyed watching them.
But why, man? I mean, we're talking about like unicorns and like the phoenixes, and we're talking about Bootios and Pancakes and the big O Kevin Owens, but you're saying right now them being absolutely the peak rapscallions are the best I've ever done.
Well, for one, Pancakes are the most overrated breakfast food in history.
Stop. You better stop. You better hush your mouth.
Yeah, I mean,
you better hush your mouth.
Flat as a pancake, flat out. It is the
pancakes and syrup are godly, sir.
No. Syrup is godly. The only reason the pancakes there is to soak up the syrup. It provides nothing in addition. If you want to know what the best breakfast foods are, if you want to know what the best food is, you have to eat it with nothing else and tell me how it tastes. If you eat a pancake on its own, it is disgusting. If you eat a French toast on its own,
it's
still great.
No,
if you eat a waffle on its own,
you need syrup for all of those.
In fact, I could eat a Eggo waffle right out of the toaster. Well, I'd cool it off for a second.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're not a savage, but come on, man, you need syrup.
It's better with the syrup. Obviously, I mean, I got a sweet tooth. Syrup's better on it. Everything's better with syrup, but without syrup, a pancake is damn near unedible. But French toast, you can still eat French toast. It's just fine. You can still eat the other stuff. It's just fine. Pancake, though,
Okay, you hitting Becky Lynch, fine. You hitting Pancakes, abysmal.
I need everyone to go to the chat. Who can enjoy a plain pancake?
No, that's not the question. The question is are pancakes bad because you don't eat them with syrup?
No, look, what I'm saying is when people eat
Yeah,
them with
Denny Cochran, Jack turning heel on pancakes. Boo this man.
That's the thing is you're saying like what you really like is the syrup. It's like when someone puts peanut butter on celery. It's like, I like celery. I put peanut butter on the celery. And you like the peanut butter. You don't like the celery.
I gotta be the voice of reason here. No one eats just their gravy on its own, but biscuits and gravy are a tag team for a reason.
Biscuits are good on their own too.
But gravy isn't good on its own.
Well, yeah, gravy. Well, I didn't say syrup is good on its own, but you will die of diabetes like right away.
Oh my god.
But come on.
Leave pancakes alone. Look at that. Chris Briggs says add vanilla and cinnamon to your pancake batter, bud.
See, you like vanilla and cinnamon. You don't like the pancake.
The pancake brings everything together, man.
It's like a muffin. You like the frosting. You don't like the bread.
What kind of muffins are those? Frosting and bread?
Cupcake is what I was thinking.
It's not bread. It's cake.
I was too far into the. You
think you know somebody and you hate pancakes, man? That's crazy.
Look, I'll eat a pancake. I'm just saying. It's the most overrated. I didn't say it was bad.
What question? If I invite you out to breakfast and I give you the address, you show up and it's an IHOP. What do? You walk away?
I said they're overrated. I'll have a pancake with all the stuff on it to cover the taste of the pancake.
Pancakes aren't bad, man. They're just like what?
I'm draped in syrup.
I
would love to have a sponge with syrup on it. That I'll take. Yeah, fine. But that's all it is. It's a sponge. It's something to sponge up syrup. Is all it is. It's the thing itself. The pancake on its own. It's like a dry cracker, except it's fluffy.
Dried cracker, but it's something completely different. Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like a fluffy cracker. It's like the bottom half of a muffin. It's like the bottom half of a cupcake.
This is damn near the most offensive thing you've ever said.
And I said so offensive.
Yeah, and I sure have. We are wrestling commentators, I swear to God. Wow. Well, let me know what you think in the chat about New Day's new run. Jack loves them, even without the pancakes, apparently.
In the comments, you tell me if you would put pancakes on their own above waffles and French toast. Because
I'll be honest with you, I haven't had French toast as an adult, so I can't talk about French toast. But
before you're like, yeah, I want my ketchup on my hot dog.
I had
as an adult.
Okay, you know what? Here's a personal story. When I was in high school, we had this thing called like art electives, and so we did like ceramics, or we did like metal shop. And so my first 2 years, I did home ec. I did home ec. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's when you did cooking in class, and so I made French toast, and it was absolutely awful. And I avoided them, but people who love them, I don't knock it. But pancakes are like the old reliable, man. A flapjack is amazing. A hot cake is divine. You're saying forget it?
They certainly are old, but you need to go out and have some French toast, Flobo. Have yourself some French toast.
Well, how about you invite me out for French toast then, huh?
You want to go get French toast together?
Well, we should probably do that. Why not?
Let's do that. And then we will get a crepe.
Oh, wow. Okay. Someone got paid this week. Jack Farmer, we had our hour here on Draped in Gold, man. Let me know what you're thinking about the world of wrestling, and we're looking see what you're doing this week, my friend.
Yeah, the world of wrestling's a very interesting time. Summer's always interesting. There's the reshuffles and the anarchy, so it's interesting time in pro wrestling. Enjoying that. A little break from me from doing any working in wrestling. I've got some travel coming up. My dad's retiring, so I'm going to be going to go see him and be a part of his retirement party.
Are you getting him a watch, a gold watch? Is that a thing?
You know, he doesn't really wear watches. I was thinking I should get him something, but like he's not really a watch guy.
What kind of guy is he?
When he wears,
I don't
watches,
know your dad.
He's not a. He's very blue collar, salted. He's not going to wear like a gold watch or anything. He's not into that. You know,
fair enough.
He's the
Gold
kind of
compass.
guy. He's the kind of guy that the T-shirt he wears is the T-shirt he bought like in 1985, and it still fits. So why would he get a different T-shirt? Kind of guy.
It's like see through. Like it's like washed so many times you can see right through. It's like it still fits.
Dad, that T-shirt of Bugs Bunny wearing Seattle Supersonics here needs to retire.
Saying Dukakis 88. It's no longer good. I got it. Yeah, Denny Cocker, give him a waffle maker.
So I don't know. I do want to get him something. I'm like, I don't really know what he'd really be interested in. So I'll figure it out. But my next wrestling show won't be until June 1st. I'm going to be on the call for Prestige, coming back to Los Angeles. I just got the word today on that. So very excited. That's going to be a big show. And then I will be at Championship Wrestling on June 3rd. So get tickets for that one as well. Check your local listings for showtimes. I'll probably have a microphone there doing something.
Yeah, I would support you, but you hate pancakes, and I'm torn. I mean, why would you hate pancakes? I can't go to a Jack Farmer show and be like, oh, I'm here. You know,
we need to bring a camera. You and I, we're gonna go somewhere. We're each gonna get a small order of pancakes, a small order of French toast, and a small order of waffles, and then we will rank the order in which we think they are the best.
You got to give him like 6 weeks of working out to do that. This is a bad idea. I've gained 6 pounds on this one challenge.
Well, the trick is to never work out. You know, I don't have to get ready because I'm always ready.
I don't got to get fat to stay fat.
I say exactly. That's
awful.
The trick.
Awful.
Yeah, I mean,
I spent a couple days
it's the opposite
in Paso Robles in wine country and all that stuff, and wine is great, but it's all just carbs. It's carbs and calories, man. I got a gut now. I got bloat, so I hear you. Well, Draped and Gold will be back next week at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern to break down the highlights of wrestling. Again, if you listen to this right now, you're here at Podcast Service of Choice, do me a favor, 5-star review and all that jazz. Please promote the show. We're just two guys trying to make wrestling happen. Jack Farmer, I have a question. If I want to follow you online or connect with you and talk to you about pancakes, how do I go about doing that?
You can follow me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. Make sure to tune in there. That's where I will give you all the latest up-to-date news on the things I'm working on. Until then, you can also check me out here on Draped in Gold every week, chatting with you.
Yeah, okay, don't say it like that. Chatting with you.
Yeah, Mr. Pancake.
Hey, pancakes aren't bad, man.
They aren't bad. I mean, they're good. I'm just saying they're overrated. There's a difference.
They're not overrated, though. If you're good and you're reliable and it slaps and it's hard to mess up, that's like that's old reliable. That's good.
I'm telling you, a bowl of chocolate pebbles, I think, could topple
How dare you?
A pancake.
Chocolate pebbles go soggy in 15 seconds. I don't know what you're talking about.
Who's taking more than 15 seconds to finish a bowl of chocolate pebbles?
Those of us who are dignified. It's DrapedandGold.com, baby. I'm available on that Blue Sky and that X at Flobo Boyce. And Jack Farmer's doing crazy things. I am not, though. I'm pretty much taking this weekend off, just hanging out. So if you have any wrestling questions, you let me know what's going on. Next Wednesday, we'll be back to talk about what's going on as we close to both Battleground and Double or Nothing, and we'll be here to break that all down with our preview shows. Jack Farmer, one more question for you. As we close this out, man, I know you got some words for us. What are those words, baby?
Do your best and be yourself.
Pancakes!